There was a few videos that I wanted to watch and everything, and people started recommending to. Ooh, ooh, my bed looks like shit. People started recommending to me, "Yo, why don't you, instead of just hopping straight into games?" Because I watched one video that was like, "Oh, most streamers will first start by chilling, by like just talking to their audience and everything before they start gaming." And I noticed a lot of streamers doing that. So I said, you know what, screw it. I wanted to do more, not react videos, but I have videos that I'm interested in watching, wanting to watch and all that. And, you know, just decided, yeah, screw it. I'll start doing them on stream during the start. So I have a few here. Probably not going to watch all of them. I'll be frank. Not George. Probably not going to watch all of them. But we're still going to watch them. So first, oops, I just fucking my whole table. All right. First, we're gonna watch this one. The reason why is because recently I was watching this guy's one of his other videos, and well, technically I was watching someone else watching one of his videos. I am screwing up so hard because nothing is ready. There we go. Uh, technically I was watching someone else watch his video, but still, doesn't matter. So I wanted to watch it, check it out. Most controversial game, Postal. Postal's amazing. I want to say this. Postal is actually like an amazing game. They screwed it with Postal 2, if I'm not mistaken. Postal 2. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that's it. Postal 2 was okay. Postal 1 was the game that was just straight like murder, massacre. That was all the game was about. You just went around just straight killing people with nothing else. And it was like a storyline and everything, but main focus was just murder. Amazing game. And then, yeah, we're not going to talk about that one. All right. Let's see this.
It is called Postal, a software offering already being hailed as a hit even before its scheduled September release. To anyone unfamiliar with computer software games,
I completely forgot how long ago that came. I just looked it up. I don't know why. When did Postal 1 come out? 1997. Insomniac. Is that Insomniac? Publishers. Running with Scissors. What else? Why do I remember Running with Scissors? Who else? What else did they make? Damn, why? Is Postal really the only game these guys made? What the hell? Jesus Christ. Is that really it? Huh. What about Ripcord? Why do I... Oh, Spec Ops. Okay, I kind of remember that. Alright, and then the people who made it for LinkedIn. LinkedIn. Wow, that's not LinkedIn. That was Linux. Linux. Know how to speak, I swear.
the blood and the mayhem of Postal could be a shock.
But tell me about
Damn.
Postal. I'm told it's insulting, irreverent, politically incorrect. Is it
Tonight from the Night Team, a new game that encourages kids to kill priests and blow up animals.
Yep.
The Night Team with the controversy over this vicious video game. Plus,
Ugh, I regret nothing.
Man, didn't he say that? What came out first? GTA? What came out first, GTA or Postal? Came out in the same year, November 28th, and Postal was September 24th. And technically the same year, so they didn't really give much of a copy to each other. But I know they were saying that about Grand Theft Auto 2. That was like the most absurd, crazy, blood, this, and that, and everything. I forgot you can have a cat as a silencer. I forgot you could. Yo, what up, Haruki? What up, what up? I forgot you can have a cat shoved up your gun from his ass and use it as a silencer. 10 out of 10. Game was amazing. Oh yeah, one of the missions was you had to go around and just get people permission. You had to go around and just get people to sign up for it. We're opening up one, hopefully 3 weeks, depending on the gas company. One of our restaurants should open up because we are mostly set and everything. Yo, thank you for the hoss. Thank you. We're mostly set up and everything for it. So hopefully 3 weeks, depending on the gas approval and everything, we should have one restaurant set up on 35th Street and I forget 35th Street and something in Oregon or something. Way deep by Coney Island. The one over here, we had to take a big pause because of the architect situation and everything. But we are opening up the one on 35th Street, hopefully within 2 weeks or so. We're just waiting on the gas company to approve that we're good to open. We don't need anything else, any extra stuff or anything. So once that happens, we'll have the restaurant open, and I'm more than willing to bring you, Michael, Justin, Alexis, and all the others, bring you guys through, show you guys a place, and get you guys some good food. Oh, the birds are birding. The birds are really birding. They're going crazy right now. This is the first time I've made noise in this room. I've been running around like
This stuff.
nice ass.
Me, I better get home. Are you gonna sign this, or will it be your surviving family members?
Thank you. I'll keep you updated when it gets on. Video's louder than you? Alright, I'll lower it. Lower from here actually. Hopefully that's better. Yeah, I used to love that.
Now if I asked you what the most controversial game was, what would you say? Maybe something like the disaster that was Concord.
Yo, don't even bring it up, Con. Nah, because PlayStation really decided PlayStation really said they don't want Concord so bad that they shut it down. A fan-made version of Concord. They shut it down. They didn't even want people to make a remake Concord. And that game got shut down in 2 weeks. Wait, is it actually like playable? Is it still actually up? Oh, bro, if it's still up, I might look into getting it. I might look into downloading the servers. I can't believe. Oh, that shit's funny. Oh, that shit had me laughing.
Or maybe games that had terrible releases and
2
didn't give us
weeks!
what was promised, like Cyberpunk and No Man's Sky.
bro, how you make a game like Cyberpunk for so long? Same people that made Witcher 1, 2, and 3. How you make Cyberpunk for so long and it has problems running on the PS4 when the PS5 was already out for a year? Bro, I tried to even play. I couldn't even play it on my own computer. Shit caused too many problems. It crashed. Yeah, there you go.
Both of which
How
eventually
you crash on
recovered their
PlayStation?
reputation, and one is constantly releasing free updates.
They did
or
fix
maybe
it.
you'd
Same with
even
No
say
Man's
the
Sky.
coffin of Andrew.
I still need to play this game. Yeah, they fixed a lot of it. I will give it. What's it? No, he just showed it. No Man's Skies. Cyberpunk, and one other game I'm forgetting off the top of my head. They put some work in that, and they actually got it running and back up and like good. I will say, No Man's Sky, pure peak the fact that they were able to fix that up so well. Cyberpunk took them a little time. They even had to give out refunds, everything like that, but they did fix it.
And
Game was
lately,
amazing
with
at
how
the end.
some people reacted to certain parts of the game, and
Oh yeah, they had a brother, sister, and brother dream of them sleeping with each other.
the public witch hunt that took place going after the creator. But if you said any of
That
those
was
games,
fucked.
you are wrong.
Oh, that actually reminds me. The person who made Fish Web, I think it is, or Webfish. Web fishing. There we go. Yo, I feel bad for this guy. The one who made it. He got doxxed because most of the community is LGBT. He got doxxed to quit anything related to the game. He hasn't updated it in almost a year, I think, by now. Hasn't updated anything. Hasn't touched the game. And the worst part is, if you play it, there's an exploit where people can find your IP address from it. If you're in the same
And
server.
I know I already made a video like this about one of said games I just mentioned, but I was discussing a popular opinion of that time, so shut the fuck up.
honestly didn't
But
have
no,
a
there is
problem
one game that is
with
so
the coffin of any of
controversial
them.
it has been banned in multiple countries. It offended multiple groups of people with claims
yeah.
of it being sexist, racist, and homophobic
Postal
from
was
elements
amazing.
present within the game. The gameplay
What you
itself on the
looking at?
release of the earlier entries to the franchise had parents of that time shaking in their boots and worrying their children were going to be
The amount
corrupted.
you can
But
do in
despite
this
the
game.
outside reputation, this is a legendary game franchise that is revered by many, with many of its iconic lines being embedded in internet culture.
Hi there, would you like to sign my petition?
Not only do I not want to back this, I'm going to actively tell
Shit.
people not.
And as a result has also
Bro, him and Stop Killing Games, I don't understand. I don't understand. Stop Killing Games is perfect for preserving games, but he's just a dumbass.
developed a cult following that
It's
still
retarded.
exists
I
to
hate
this
Pirate
day.
Cynical.
A cult following that has
I mean, not
also
Pirate
been
Cynical, what am I
very
saying? I love
critical
Pirate
of some of
Cynical.
the later entries to the franchise.
Pyro
and
Cynical.
apparently had a hand at
Pirate-
cancelling an entry to the franchise that
Fuck it.
allegedly
I don't care
used
anymore.
AI. This game was so popular that at one point they released a movie of it, which not everybody liked.
Which was shit.
But the
yeah.
game franchise I'm
was
talking
shit.
about is Postal, which had its first entry
Yeah, he did. He did. If you're talking about Pirate Software, there we go. Pirate Software, man, I loved him. And then the shit happened with him and Stop Killing Games, and then the shit happened with him and World of Warcraft, Iron Man. No, not Iron Man. Heroic mode and OnlyFans. Bro, after that, he became a joke, and he's still like. He still talks about I'm gonna release my game. I'm gonna release my game, bro. How you gonna call yourself a developer for over 15 years and you've been developing this game for 5 years and you still can't even put out a beta or an alpha?
of said franchise in
just sad.
1997 with Postal 1, where for the first time we saw the iconic Postal dude, someone known for
I
his
looked it up.
one-liners
Same year
and
Grand
very
Theft Auto came out.
recognizable voice.
Damn, here
Grand
I
Theft Auto
was
1.
minding my own business, just enjoying my Second Amendment rights. and you people have to freak out on me.
However, in the first game, he's not the
Just enjoying my
sarcastic,
Second Amendment
comedic,
rights.
lovable psychopath we know later in the series, who's just kind of a mentally ill, paranoid psychopath, especially with what law was present, and was mainly killing people down to said paranoid delusions. The first game was also an isometric top-down shooter instead of first-person as most would know it, and it was also a lot darker compared to the later games. The main goal of the first,
as far as I remember, for Postal 1, there wasn't much of a lore outside of killing the hostiles and him being like psychotic a little bit and them killing his family and everything like that. And then Postal 2 actually like gave him a lore, fleshed out, interacting more with people and everything.
This game is just to kill or kill enough people to progress
Yeah.
to the next area. There are no other objectives. It is either kill a certain amount of people or kill all of them. There is no non-lethal option to progress. The game was made by Running with Scissors, founded by Vince Desi, who is also known as Chief Big Dick, and he founded the studio a year prior to Postal's release
Absolute cinema of a name.
in 1996, and Postal is seemingly the only game the studio has produced,
Yeah, I
and
looked that
despite
up.
their only product being
Literally
surrounded
only
in controversy
Postal.
and some of their additions to the franchise being hated, the studio is fairly loved by its fans, from regularly responding to its community to telling them if they can't afford their games to
If you know who that is, you're a G. You're an OG. If you know who this is right here. I'm just saying. Just saying. If you know who this is, you're an OG.
straight up pirate them. But anyway, back to Postal. The first game on
Yeah, they're
release
still
was
around.
considered controversial, seemingly out of the gate, and even
It is-
before
it's
its
a-
release.
it's not
from
just
the
girl-
claims
it's- it
contained
is a girl.
senseless mass
There are
killing
girls
to
and guys
what they
in it.
would say
It was
was
originally made by a
extreme
girl,
gore
though,
of
if
that
I'm not
time.
mistaken.
Keep in mind, games around
Like a
that
girl and a
time
group
usually
of
had an
guys.
objective tied to why you would shoot people, like the enemy being
I
an
still
evil
use them.
demon, a bad guy, or simply out
You
of
know, you know.
self-defense.
I ain't gonna
But
say what they're
Postal
used for,
didn't
but I
have
still
that.
use
You
them.
were basically a schizophrenic madman that was gunning down mostly
We will never see a Call of Duty have something like this ever again. But it was such a fucking amazing game, amazing mission. Oh my god. No, we need somebody like Empress. We don't need Empress. She was psychotic on multiple levels, but we need somebody that can do what Empress did. The Nouveau is a plague, and we need someone like her. Just not her. Definitely not her. I heard there are other people that are doing it. Yeah, okay, that's true. We need people of that type of mental to be willing to do it. But I don't know. She was fight. She'd fight everyone. Say they are doing. Yeah, they never released it. I know. There's a couple people working on it, but it's one of the most complex to break, and it's really difficult. Empress just was I think she was like autistic enough to be willing to do it. I think she was like just autistic enough to be willing to do it, and that's it. That's all it is. I wish we find someone like her again.
unarmed civilians in the setting of a small
Still an
town,
amazing level.
which for those times made people lose their minds. And keep in mind, this was just before the release of the first Grand Theft
I was about to
Auto.
say
the game
I
was
was about
viewed
to say-
as very
Well, I'm not about to say. I've said it like twice already, but yeah.
controversial to say the least, and was heavily criticized by the media of that time.
What went wrong? Find out at booth 1334 Elite.
Mainly due to the ending, where you find yourself
Oh, you
outside
could
of
have had
school with what is believed to be a
1337.
hallucination of children, of which you open fire, destroying the school and the playground. However, one thing you couldn't do is open fire on the kids or harm them.
Yeah.
They were practically invincible. But that wasn't what was told by certain media outlets and
It is
published
shit.
articles,
It is
who
shit.
warned the public about how graphic the
The
game
website's
was,
pretty
and that
fucking
you could
bad.
actually open fire and harm children, which once
I
again,
can't even
you
use the
couldn't,
website 90%
and it was
of the
one of the
time.
biggest pieces of misinformation surrounding surrounding the game at the time. But in the ending of the original Postal 1, although ambiguous, it is assumed Postal Dude had a mental breakdown, gets captured, and then is put in a mental asylum. And that is basically the game, but as said, before the game even released, it was already controversial. Firstly, just by the name itself, the title Postal was said to be influenced by the phrase going postal, which refers to someone getting angry to the point of violence, usually in the workplace, and that phrase originated from a series of shootings that
they're just not trusted anymore. That is true. That is true. The issue with... That's why I only use Spoon Girl. I'm not going to say their name because I'm going to upload this video onto YouTube and it's going to get in trouble. I only use them. They're trustworthy. They know they don't do anything malicious or any of that. And they will actively remove or stop working on stuff if there's ever they find anything wrong with it. They did recently, a recent repack that they were doing ran into an issue that caused, like, they said it had malicious information, this and that. They just stopped the whole package. They cleaned the whole thing. They crossed it out, and they wrote that they're gonna work on it later to check to see again. That works too. That works too. Reddit r/privacy, amazing website.
That occurred in the late 1980s, where United States Postal Service employees in so-called incidents of workplace rage would shoot and kill other employees in acts of mass murder, and then quite often finally turn the gun on themselves. At the time, some believed employees were going so-called postal because of improper management and working conditions, tight deadlines, and an overall change to the way the United States Postal Office traditionally ran. But that is where the phrase going postal came from, and in the current day...
That's the history of it.
It is called postal.
Oops. Accidentally
deadlines and an overall change to the way the United States Postal Office traditionally ran. But that is where the phrase going postal came from, and in the current day it's rarely used. However, in 1997, before the release of Postal, the United States Postal Service, or USPS, would attempt to sue the studio running with scissors over the name of the game. But the lawsuit would be dismissed due to the studio stating that it had nothing to do with the Postal Service or its employees. It was dismissed in June of 2003, which was after the release of their continuation to the series, Postal 2. The first game was also banned or heavily restricted in multiple countries such as New Zealand, Australia, Germany, Malaysia, and France. French! And it was mostly banned due to the violence present in the game. But keep in mind, this was just their first game. Yes, just the first game alone faced a media uproar, legal battles, and bans in multiple countries, and the second game was only going to be even more controversial and essentially add gasoline to the fire with no regrets. But finally, they would remaster the first Postal with Postal Redux in 2016, which not only improved the graphics and added extra content to the game, but also changed the ending from the school to the postal dude watching a funeral that is interpreted to be his own. But now we get on to the magnum opus of the Postal series, the most iconic addition to the franchise, Postal 2. Postal 2 was released on the 14th of April 2000.
Bro, Postal 2? Walking around with that clipboard asking people to sign the petition or threatening the shit out of them was the funniest shit. I loved it.
3, and it saw the same level of criticism, if not worse, than what the first entry saw. And the Running with Scissors studio, despite how controversial the first game was, did not shy away from achieving the same thing with this game. And they did not hold back, they did not provide any loop. This game was essentially supposed to be as offensive as possible, and it was a success. From Chief Big Dick himself apparently becoming #1 in the US.
Chief Big Dick himself.
And Russia, and doing very well in other countries, on top of selling out in stores like GameStop and Electronic Boutique, selling its initial shipment of 50,000 copies. However, despite intending to be offensive and making the game a lot more comical and less serious compared to the first game, it obviously wasn't immune from criticism from the media to certain groups said to be represented within the game, but as like with the first game, it faced critiques from the media regarding the graphical content possible within the game, especially regarding the gore system where you could decapitate NPCs and then urinate on said decapitated NPC. This guy really needs to hydrate, his piss is yellower than SpongeBob. But once again,
I remember the mission. You had to, if I'm not mistaken, you had to burn people down, and then you had to put them out using your piss. Or it was you had to put them out. Your piss was one of the options you can use to put them out, or you can use the water.
Game and studio knew the media storm was going to head their way. This wasn't their first rodeo, and they were very self-aware to the point where even in the game they directly address it.
Games are bad, they make you mad.
Oh yeah.
Games are bad, they make you mad.
And you can murder them.
They make you mad. Games are bad, they make you mad.
Honestly, I wonder what the same critics would have said 3 years later with the release of Gears of War. There was also a difficulty called Liber mode, which makes it so all NPCs have no weapons, making the game extremely easy, and the name of the difficulty refers to Joe Lieberman, who claimed violent video games lead to an increase in crime. Some were outraged by what you could do to animals in the game, being able to decapitate them and in some cases use them as a silencer on your weapon. Some were offended by racial stereotypes and the presence of things like Al-Qaeda, with members blowing themselves up. It's obvious the game and studio were attempting to push the boundaries of that time, and the same game probably wouldn't be able to release in the current game. But for at least the violence present, as said on the box, the game is only as violent as you make it. You can do a complete pacifist run, not harming or killing anyone, which is the polar opposite of the first game. The objectives within the game are rather trivial as well. For the base game, you just...
Yeah, I remember. I remember watching somebody that went through all of Postal 2 pacifist. Didn't kill anybody, didn't harm anybody, didn't do a lot of any of that. Just pure pacifism. It was actually kind of cool. And it proved that, yeah, as far as the game's concerned, it's only as violent as you are. Period.
Have to make it from Monday to Friday, completing tasks like going to the bank where you have to wait in line, and confessing your sins where you have to wait in line, and buying milk where you have to wait in line. Yeah, the game does not make it easy when doing a pacifist run. It's more tedious in testing your anger management skills more than anything. But the game puts forward an important question: is the game really to...
I think it was like the guy's video was almost like 3 times the length of how long it normally takes to complete it, because he had to wait on every single line.
Blame for the violent content just for giving you
and I think also there were people that would skip your line too. They would skip in front of you sometimes.
Access to a sandbox where you can do these things, or are you to blame for performing these actions when the game does not require you to do them to progress? Well, regardless of the answer to said important question, regardless of the satirical nature, and regardless of the fact it was intending to be offensive, the game, like its previous entries, was banned in just as many countries. In New Zealand, it was even a crime to just possess the game. Some game retailers refused to even stock or sell the game. Germany eventually prevented the game from being available to its citizens on Steam. News outlets condemned the game. Even in some cases, like in 2008, the game was blamed for a string of arson performed by 3 19-year-olds.
I hate that's the stupidest shit they used to do on the news, and they still do it, blaming video games for reasons why people do these type of stuff, even though most of the times, if you look at the people that actually do these crimes or stuff like that, heads up, they're not actually heavy gamers. Oh my god. And most of them are raised by psychotic people, are bullied, or have issues with the house or school, or just not mentally sane. Games do not make people violent, but violent people playing games increases their violence. But they're already violent. It's already set in their way, one way or another. Games are not going to make somebody violent. They're not gonna be the reason why somebody not violent becomes violent.
It was mentioned in
If that makes
2006
sense.
regarding a shooting in Montreal which killed one woman and injured 19 others, where in one article the shooter supposedly was a fan of the game and thought it was too tame and wanted something more extreme. Postal was constantly used by the media in the ongoing discussion that games influence people, especially children, to do violent acts. But despite the media backlash, the game once again is iconic.
If they're if they're already
the gene pool is
have
stagnant,
issues,
and I am the
it's
minister
gonna
of
make more
chlorine.
issues.
To elements like the iconic
Whoa.
petition clip.
Go back. Can we go back?
And once again is iconic from the quotes.
The gene pool is stagnant, and I am the
Bro, he shoots his ally.
minister of chlorine.
He just turns and shoots her straight in the head. Oh shit.
To elements like the iconic petition clipboard.
Oh yeah.
Hi there, would you like to sign my petition?
What are we doing here?
The studio knew they had hit a gold mine, and in December of the same year would release an expansion to Postal 2 called Postal 2 Share the Pain, which added multiplayer modes and extra weapons. And then in 2005, they added the expansion Apocalypse Weekend, adding Saturday and Sunday to the game, with more content and even a cutscene with Chief Big Dick himself, where he explains the pigeon hunting mission is way beyond the budget, and it just cuts to a message from the management team, and the aftermath are probably one of the best. The budget, and it just cuts to a message from the management.
Super fun pigeon hunt mission cancelled due to budget issues. Thank you, the management
team, and the aftermath are probably one of the best missions in Postal history.
Proposal for the pigeon mission.
Proposal for the pigeon mission? We ain't got no budget for pigeon missions. The fuck, are you kidding me?
Vince, the kids. Gotta think of the kids.
Look at the quality of this video!
They even had specific adaptations of the game for Japanese and Russian audiences. They even released an expansion a decade later with Postal 2 Paradise Lost, where Postal Dude wakes up from a decade-long coma and it provides a continuation to the story with new weapons and a new map. And this expansion was certainly more loved than the continuation to the franchise that was released 4 years prior, Postal 3, which is one of the most hated additions to the franchise. But going back to Postal 2 momentarily, yes, it is one of the most loved games out of all the Postals, but in the current year where some games have pushed past the so-called controversial content of the second Postal, especially in terms of gore, Postal 2 still remains banned.
I don't care what anyone says. Left 4 Dead was the absolute best game of its genre. Period. No game ever has come close to Half-Life and Half-Life 2. At most, you can kind of say Vermintide, but even that, it doesn't peak it. Nothing will come close to how perfect Left 4 Dead was. I almost said Half-Life, even Half-Life, but Left 4 Dead, it was the best game of this series. Period. Not even series, genre, just the genre in general. Fucking amazing game.
And in multiple countries. And Running with Scissors had attempted to get them unbanned and in one case de-indexed from Germany, where a lot of games were starting to get removed from the index, and games like Grand Theft Auto were never outright banned from being sold like Postal 2 was. But even when they hired a law firm and took it higher up, the game would still remain on the index and is still banned in places like Germany to this day. But anyway, on to one of the least loved games I've mentioned about 5 times now that was so hated, even the founder of Running with Scissors hated it.
My personal feelings about Postal 3, unfortunately, are riddled with pain.
So Postal 3 was different from the previous 2 Postals, not because it was now in third person. Yes, they've transitioned from an isometric top-down shooter to a first-person shooter to now a third-person shooter, and no, the fourth...
They got all of them. They got all of them. Top down, first person, third person, You need second person.
Evolved to have you playing from the perspective of a piss stain. But it was different because Running with Scissors was not the primary studio working on it. Yes, they were behind what happened in the game and what they wanted in it, but another studio called Akela, located in Russia, was behind most of the implementation and coding of said desired elements.
I knew Running with Scissors did not do Postal 3 directly, but I didn't know who did it, and I did not know they were in Russia. That is actually surprising. I feel like that's... I feel like it should have been more insane if it was made by Russians. I don't... Honestly, a little surprised by that.
Initially, it seemed like a good idea due to how popular Postal was in Russia, and Russia was one of the countries that had barely any restrictions on the Postal franchise. But obviously, it didn't pan out the way they wanted, and something heavily to blame for that is the...
Maybe that. Key features crashing, non-working achievements, hated by Running with Scissors, could probably run better on a DS Lite. ET from NES all over again. Oh, more glitches than launch day Cyberpunk 27. Hey, that's not good. Worse graphics than Cattle 3D. I don't know that game. Worse than new Tales from the Borderlands. Oh, that's saying something. Crossovers of already existing in-universe characters.
Obviously, it didn't pan out the way they wanted, and
not a very good Postal game as far as I remember. I played it off Steam. I own all the Postal games, and I feel sad to say that I won't be shocked if this is better than Postal 4.
something heavily to blame for that is the financial crisis of 2007 to 2008. Postal 3 was in development for roughly 5 to 6 years, and it was not immune from the effects of the financial crash. Akela had to fire what was called the A-Team, the people that were said to be the best people working on the game, and from there the development of the game would transfer through multiple hands, being scrapped and rebuilt multiple times, often each time by either a different or somewhat less experienced team, and meanwhile Running with Scissors were not kept in the loop about this at all, or what was happening with said game, and the
Did he just point a gun at his head and pretend he was gonna kill himself? Okay, we're just okay. I was gonna say something else. I know there was another game that was in development and constantly kept shifting hands. I can't remember what the game is off the top of my head, but I know still till this day it's not released, and the studio basically is never going to release the game. Like it's still changing hands, going on forever and ever, and I don't think it's ever going to come out.
Specifications they did provide were not being followed or translated into the final release of the game. But Postal 3 would release in 2011, apparently as a last-ditch effort by Akela to prevent bankruptcy, and the game was a mess. It had multiple bugs, glitches, for some the game wouldn't even boot. The gameplay was repetitive, the humor cringy, and the story hated. Akela would provide one final patch in 2012, but the game was already dead by then. And because of issues between Akela and Running with Scissors, like them not providing the source code, so I assume they could fix it themselves, Running with Scissors would cut ties with Akela and the company would go bankrupt in the same year of 2012.
That's one thing I don't understand. Companies that are working on a game on behalf of other companies, and if it's shit or it's bad quality or anything like that, that's one thing. But not willing to give the main company, the source code to fix it is a stupid decision. Because you're actively admitting you guys can make this game better, but we don't want you to. We don't want you guys to fix the mess we made. You're just that's so stupid.
Now, Running with Scissors completely disowned this game, where to this day if you go to their store and click on it, you get rickrolled. The story would be
Okay, I gotta see that. Not the film. Oh, yes. Didn't even click that. Do I even want to let it play? This is beautiful. That
retconned and Tretmor as a
not even mad.
hallucination in the
Not even
2015
mad.
release of Postal 2 Paradise Lost expansion.
What the hell is this shit?
In 2022, the game would actually be removed from Steam because of a DRM issue, something Running with Scissors had no control over, and if they had the choice, they would have sold the game for free. However, it would be put back on Steam shortly afterwards, where even to this day, no matter the price, people say it's still not worth it. But while this game failed and left a stain on the reputation of Running with Scissors, in the optimistic words of Chief Big Dick himself,
Postal 3, thank God it ended, but the good news is, it made the way for Postal 4.
Now, Postal 4 No Regrets, unlike 3, was developed entirely by Running with Scissors. It released for early access in 2019, which was the first game in the franchise to be released as such, a technically unfinished game that would slowly be built up through ongoing updates. Technically, it wasn't the first unfinished game they released, but it was a continuation to the story from where Postal 2 Paradise Lost finished off, because, once again, Postal 3 never happened. Now, because it was early access, the game in some builds was of
There is no war in Ba Sing Se. There is no Postal 3 in Ba Sing Se.
course buggy, sometimes unplayable, and they were still
That's a flying rat!
Adding content to the game, but it would come out of early access in 2022, and still had quite a bit of bugs. Some recent reviews say the game still feels unfinished in the current day. Some would say the game looks kind of lifeless, something similar to an asset flip game, and has a lot of performance issues. They are still releasing patches to the game every now and again, but the main critique of the game was that it's just mediocre, and it was constantly being compared to Postal 2, which at this point is impossible to beat. It was still definitely better than Postal 3, and fans thought it was a respectable continuation to where Postal 2 left off, but it just wasn't Postal 2 or better than it, which is a common problem in the game industry. Believe me, every Halo after the original trilogy has been called abysmal dogshit compared to the first three, and a lot of them are. Except Reach. You can actually eat my left nut if you think Reach is bad, but it is a...
I really, really want to go through the Halo campaigns. Never did when I was a kid. I never got to play them. I played a little bit of the very first one, but I wanted to go through it with somebody, and I can't find anybody that wants to play them or anything like that. I really, really want to go through the Halo games. I just wish I can't fucking find somebody that's willing to do it. And I'm watching Moist Critical play them, and I'm like, I need to find someone.
Extremely hard to capture and recreate what made a game series so good at its peak without copying it exactly or going in a completely different direction, attempting to innovate and revitalize the franchise.
He's
and
finally
Postal
up
4
there.
is in the in-between. It is a Postal game. It has a lot of Postal 2 in it and adds a lot of content and modern features to it, but it doesn't fully detach itself from its predecessor to shine for itself and set a new bar for the series like people were thinking the fourth would. It is a good successor to Postal 2 though, it just needs to apparently work on its performance. Now there was another entry to the series that fans absolutely loved and used to on the fourth entry, that being Postal Brain Damage, released in June of 2022. The game was developed by Hyperstrange and Creative Forge Games, with Running with Scissors being involved with the publishing of the game. And it turns Postal from an open world game to something more like a Doom game. There is no open sandbox, it is a linear level based game. You kill enemies and progress to the next area. And lore wise, you are inside the head of Postal Dude, so it doesn't really affect the lore of the franchise much. But despite not being like the traditional Postal games, it was well received, from the retro graphics to the simple yet fun gameplay.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Postal games, it was well received.
Whoa, Lady, you might want to watch out where that arm position is. Just
From
saying.
the retro graphics to the simple yet
Nowadays,
fun gameplay. But
I don't
now
know
that
if you
we're
want to throw
talking
it up
about
like that.
spin-offs, we have to mention the latest addition to the franchise that landed running with scissors in hot water, this time not with the media, but with its own fans. Postal Bullet Paradise once again was not like your traditional Postal game. It was a roguelike wave survival game, basically something like Risk of Rain, where once again it had a change up of the graphics with pixel art enemies and retro environments, and it was announced December 3rd, 2025, and then cancelled a day later on the 4th of December. The game lasted a full 24 hours after only being announced, and it was primarily down to the developer of said game, Goonswarm. Yeah. Goonswarm. That should have been the first red flag, to be honest. But the issue with said company was with the announcement. Some thought the sprites and art looked a bit off, like AI had something to do with it. And people began looking at the studio's previous work, where you can sort of see the same thing. And what makes it worse, if it was AI, a week earlier, Running with Scissors took a stance on AI in video games, saying that customers deserve to know if their game was made with AI. People would start to question both the development studio and Running with Scissors regarding this. The studio would be adamant they didn't use AI, and the co-owner of Running with Scissors in their Discord would basically shit on anyone saying they used AI. However, on December 4th, with fan backlash, Running with Scissors would make a statement cancelling the game and saying it was very likely AI generation was involved, and apologised to anyone who felt insulted. But it doesn't stop there, because the
I will say, I will agree, and I'm a strong believer in this. AI should not be in the final project, but there is nothing wrong with using AI to help make the final project. If you want to use AI assets to placeholders or a few other things, like maybe you're a solo dev, you want to use AI to help you with coding, development, everything. There's nothing wrong with. I'm gonna be honest, nothing wrong with that. But if the AI is in the final project, nope, you're screwed. You did something wrong. Should not be okay. No way. Period. That's it. No art, no design, none of that should be in the final project. Assisting with code, sure. Assets hold till alpha, sure. Past that, no.
On top is Goonswarm Games would shut down with a statement where they were adamant they did not use AI, and then another statement saying AI was used, they just didn't know. Yeah, the game literally lasted a day. Anyway, that's where Postal sits today. It is still regarded as one of the worst and most controversial games by both the media and government bodies,
How do you not
but
know
is
if AI
hailed
was
as a
used in the
comedic,
game
enjoyable, timeless masterpiece by those on the internet. And it has proven hard to recreate or improve upon said masterpiece, even for the studio that made it. Even with the many struggles Running with Scissors has faced over the years, from a game that didn't work to a game that for many didn't have the desired effect to a game that got cancelled within a day, it has always listened to its fans, and despite how it has been constantly condemned throughout its entire existence, it still never buckled under the scrutiny or apologised to anyone but their own fans. And it is definitely a one-of-a-kind studio, from the people behind it to the series that had an obscene effect on both the internet and gaming. We'll probably see another entry to the Postal series soon, and hopefully they continue to patch 4. I think people are still having performance issues with it. But yeah, that's all I had to say, and bye-bye.
Good ass video. Really liked it. I've seen this guy before. I enjoy his videos. Personally think it's really good, and I would highly recommend giving him a watch. He's really worth it. But yeah, Postal 3, I don't get it. They really screwed with Postal 3. They really messed it up. Like, how they could have done so much. They could have given it so much love if they gave over the source code.